fellow who wrote Winnie the Pooh. I think that's the way it works. And then there's Christopher, so it was written by Christopher. And then I have two flute players off to the side I'd like to recognize now. Holly and Ariana will be playing fiddle pieces. Then we'll be playing a song called Build Me a World, which is what this is all about. And then the last song is a little bit of a surprise. So are you going to fill us in about what we're doing?
Build me a There has to be a future star there somewhere. I couldn't see who Mighty Mouse was, but that was great. Let's give him another nice hand. That was great. If you all want, we've got about a 45-minute program. If you all would like to find a place to sit, or if you're comfortable standing, we'll get going now. Well, we'd like to welcome you all here today to the unveiling of Fairfield's 10-year strategic plan. As hopefully you know and have read about through the past year, this has been a long process. Ed promised us it would be 1 year, and well, it was close. We went over a little bit, but it was due to a lot of well-thought planning. As anything else, it took a lot of people to do this. We have presenters on the stage, but there's many more people dispersed through our audience that have been involved in this plan through the last year. And I'd like to identify those people. They were originally going to be seated in front, and some are, and if you stand up and wave at that time when your name is called. Mayor Ed Malloy, my co-chair, Ellen S. Jones. I'm Jay Silverman, by the way. Connie Boyer, Tom Brooks, Burt Chojnowski, Judith Cox, Dan Gifford, Myron Gookin, Lisa Greenig, Helen Guy, John Kuster, Stephen Lamb, Jerry Long, David Navarette, Mike Pesch, the Reverend Marvin Robeck, Tom Stanley, Donna Steinberg, Gerald Swanson, Steve Triplett, Nate Wheaton, Kent Whitney, and Devlin Wilson. These people have been meeting for over a year, sometimes on a weekly basis, definitely on a monthly basis. There were Saturdays taken, and I think in the newspaper there was an article that said thousands of man hours, and as I added that up, it was true, thousands of man hours. It's been a fun process, and hopefully we've come with a roadmap for Fairfield's future. At this time, we are going to proceed into our program, and we'd like to have a welcome from the person that really was responsible for organizing this. Meeting with Ellen and I, it was a very hard task to come up with representative people of Fairfield that were willing to devote this much time, and we came up with a wonderful crew. People that have been in Fairfield for 6 months to people that are 5 generations deep in Fairfield. But they all shared one common trait, and that was a love for our city, Fairfield. So I'd like to introduce Mayor Ed Malloy.
Thank you very much. No Saturday morning is complete without a Mighty Mouse anthem. So with that done, we can proceed. Today, we celebrate a great accomplishment on behalf of our entire community. The completion of the City of Fairfield strategic plan, a plan that touches every part of our community. We live in a wonderful city with a rich past, a dynamic present, and a brilliant future. We are an extraordinary community that shares a deep sense of pride and an energetic willingness to improve ourselves, our institutions, our economy, our downtown, and our physical environment. When people in our state refer to a community that exemplifies quality of life as a measure of fulfilled living, Fairfield is usually at the top of the list. But we would be the first to admit that we have a ways to go to reach our full potential, and these plans can provide a guidance to get there. Our past leaders have always served the interest of our city well, making wise decisions and moving our community forward. It is in the spirit of good leadership that this plan for the next decade was undertaken. With so many talented people and so much goodwill for the city, and so many creative ideas, something needed to be created to focus our opportunities, recognize our strengths, and map out a plan to make them a reality. The result was the formation of a strategic planning commission. In the first and most challenging aspect of this undertaking was to get 23 people to buy into the idea to commit hundreds of hours of their time over a year to accomplish it. And it started by recruiting 2 people who were passionate about our community and crazy enough to commit to chairing this group and leading this effort. And I was very fortunate to have the leadership of Ellen Ask Jones and Jay Silverman, who drove this work with great poise and positivity, and we owe them a great deal of thanks. Would you please stand and be recognized? The commission members, who Jay has already introduced, were representative of the great pride and creativity I spoke of within the community. The way that this group worked together, carefully considering the needs, desires, and thinking of the whole community, was an inspiration. Their dedication to the planning process and to the final product produced a quality plan. Each member brought a unique perspective that made the process of finding consensus on our goals, aims, and objectives challenging and fun. I thank them for their selfless commitment of time and ideas, and we will be honoring them at the end of our program. The only reason we have this plan completed in an orderly format, and that it is as comprehensive as it is that we had the good sense to work with the Institute for Decision Making of the University of Northern Iowa. Our project leaders, Bill Wood and James Hoelscher, were indispensable in providing the guidance to facilitate this process. They charmed our commission from the very beginning and shared their passion for doing things right and their passion for our community. We're very fortunate to have them involved, and invite them into our community to help us shape our dreams. Thank you to Bill and James, and I'll be introducing them in a minute as well. One of the wonderful designs of this plan is that it brought together all of the great organizations, institutions, and government in our city. Each part of the plan is tied to several of these organizations, and without their support, we wouldn't be able to accomplish much of what's in the plan. I want to especially thank the Fairfield City Council for their support, the Fairfield Area Chamber of Commerce, the Fairfield Economic Development Association, Fairfield Community Schools, Maharishi University of Management. In total, over 80 organizations endorsed the plan, and I want to thank them all for their participation and endorsement. The brochure that you've all received copies of, and if not, we have a box of them right over here for you to pick up, please do, was sponsored by our 4 banks that serve our community: First National Bank, Central Valley Bank, Iowa State Bank, and Libertyville Bank. And it was really their interest in seeing that a copy of this plan got to every citizen in the community that they went ahead and sponsored this. We have thousands of them printed, and we'll be distributing them over the next few weeks. We also owe a great debt of thanks in the creation of the brochure to MUM Press, who is represented by Martha Bright here today. Also Bluebird Graphics, Shepley Hansen, who was the designer, and Rick Donhauser, who last Saturday did just about every photograph in that brochure, so to meet our deadline. So we really owe them all a great debt of thanks. Today we also are announcing the unveiling of a new Fairfield City website, where you can also find this plan in its full content and also the brochure. There will be new services offered on this website, including a directory of community organizations, clubs, businesses, services from the city, and hopefully in the future a coordinated community calendar. The website address is www.cityoffairfieldiowa.com. We invite you to look at the website sometime later on today or in the coming week and give us your comments and suggestions. We want to thank Full Partner, it's a local web developing company, for their participation in this project. They've donated hundreds of hours to get this up for us and running. We also want to thank Barry Ross, a local artist who you'll see did an artistic banner across the top of the website that is a drawing of many of the key elements of our community. The roots of our community go deep, and today we mark a new chapter, a new beginning, if you will, that will take us to new horizons that will hopefully inspire the next generation to keep our traditions pure and continue to grow and add to our extraordinary community. It is now my pleasure to introduce the two gentlemen who led us through this process from the University of Northern Iowa Institute of Decision Making, Bill Wood and James Hoelscher. Bill has his PhD in systems programming and is also the program manager for the Institute of Decision Making. James Hoelscher is also a part of the Institute of Decision Making. I'd like to invite these gentlemen to address us now and to thank them for their participation.
Thank you, Mayor Malloy, and all the commission members for all of your hard work, and thank you to Fairfield for welcoming us to your community and really allowing us to share in part of your visioning for the future. On behalf of the University of Northern Iowa and the Institute for Decision Making, I really want to congratulate you. You have done an excellent job, and this is a plan that you should be incredibly proud of. And as Bill will mention, this is where really the hard work begins. The last year and a half has been a challenge as far as taking a look at your community and starting to vision and look towards the future. Now is when the hard work begins. It was interesting. I had the pleasure of participating in your town hall community meeting, and it was at that meeting that I was really struck by all of the great ideas and the commitment that your community has to Fairfield, to your neighbors, and to working together for kind of the greater good of your community. I was really impressed. At the Institute for Decision Making, we have been very fortunate. We work with about 450 communities across Iowa doing community and economic development, strategic planning, and research. And it's always very rewarding to us to be invited to events like this where we can see the product of your work and to share as far as you're moving forward. It's been very rewarding, and we really appreciate it. I thought it was very appropriate. I was listening to the songs that the children were singing this morning, and two struck me, and thinking about economic development. They were actually very appropriate for economic development. The first, the Mighty Mouse song. There are many communities across Iowa that are hoping that Mighty Mouse will swing in there and come in to save the day. Well, that's not going to happen. Fairfield recognizes that it's their hard work, it's your hard work that we are required to move towards the future. And the second song, there was a line in there, I will build this world. Well, you've recognized that you are building your community, and I think you're doing a wonderful job. So thank you. I appreciate inviting us to be a part of your future. Thank you.
I also thank you and thank the commission members that are back here as well, and others that were able to be here today. One of the truly wonderful aspects of the work during the last several months has been to see the Planning Commission come together as a true team. That does not happen in every community. And our hope and their hope is that that sense of being a team, working together, working for progress, committed to the greater good of the community, is something that now moves from just this core group out and beyond, because there's so much potential for having this community see themselves as a group who is committed to the greater good. You have been, and you can grow further in that direction, and there's a lot of vitality that can come about because of that. I've been asked to share a little bit about the work that we do in community-wide planning and what distinguishes this plan from some of the others that we've done. Over the last few years, we have completed community-wide strategic plans in several communities: Mason City, Cedar Falls, LeClaire, which is a small town in southeast Iowa, Waterloo, Hampton, which is a small county seat in north central Iowa, and Marshalltown. One of the things that really distinguishes your plan from some of those is that you really are looking toward a realistic yet visionary blending of the small town qualities that have made this community really great and continue to make it a great place to live and to work, and blending that with the vitality of a thriving city. A lot of communities really want that, but very few have what it takes to pull it off. You do. Another aspect is having harmony and respect as fundamental core values to build the community future upon. Another is a combination of innovative business development with the venture capital resources that go with that, and traditional economic development that builds up the base that has been here and continues to provide jobs for the community. That blending is somewhat unique within the range of communities in Iowa. Increasing both the breadth and the depth of artistic, cultural, and recreational activities and opportunities and events. That's unique, or a strength here. And the determination to strengthen community connectedness. We see community spirit and things like that, but this real dedication and determination to strengthen community connectedness is something that comes through loudly and clearly in many parts of this plan, and there's a particular section that deals with it. Ed mentioned the cross-section of the community that the team has represented. It truly was. Many different perspectives came together, and that's part of what made this plan appropriate and a good fit for this community. Like graduations are really commencements, this is also a commencement or a beginning. It's a beginning of really making the wonderful ideas and goals that are part of this plan actually occur. And it's the commission members and it's the groups and the organizations that said yes that are going to carry this forward and make all the difference. Being sent out now to actually do the work is the greatest challenge in the process all the way through, from coming together to making it occur. And I encourage all of you to find ways of getting involved, because you will make the difference.
I'd like to present a token of our appreciation to these two distinguished gentlemen for their participation in the plan. We have a certificate of appreciation from the City of Fairfield. Bill, thank you very much.
Good morning. It's been my great pleasure to co-chair this commission with Jay Silverman and to work with the incredibly resourceful, dedicated, and wise members of the commission under the guidance of the UNI consultants whom you've just heard speak. They say well begun is half done, and I feel that this plan truly reflects the input not just of the commission members, but of our Fairfield community at large. We had meetings of the commission alone, but we also sought to make public input a very key part of the process. Many of you attended the town hall meetings we had at the library last spring. Over 600 people completed individual questionnaires that gave their opinions on what should be included in the plan for our future, and what many of those ideas were incorporated. And over 80 organizations, or approximately 80 organizations, have accepted lead or secondary responsibility to implement the plan so that it indeed becomes a living document, not something that just takes up some space on a shelf somewhere. We started by looking into the cornerstone values of our community, and we were looking for ideas that were very broadly acceptable for the community. This is a plan that affects all of us. And the values that you'll see in the document that was handed out include harmony and respect, economic strength and vitality, education, preservation of small town life, cultural richness, arts and recreation, natural environment, beautification, and identity and reputation. So these were the cornerstone values that informed the entire plan as we developed it. We developed a vision for our community for the next decade, which you'll see on the website in the full document. But let me just read it to you now. Fairfield in 2012 will be a shining success story in Iowa, featuring a revived and vibrant downtown, a dynamic growing economy, and a leading center for culture and the arts. Fairfield will showcase the unique blending of its rich heritage and small town qualities with the diversity, cultural richness, and economic opportunities of a thriving city. Fairfield, the best of all worlds. Coming from the vision statement, flowing out of that, we identified 5 primary goals, which you will hear about this morning. And each goal has its own aims and objectives necessary to achieve that goal. And in the full document, you will see that for each objective, there is a success indicator and date of accomplishment that is the target. There are lead and secondary organizations assigned to take on the responsibility for implementation, and these organizations have already agreed to do so, and suggested strategies. As you've heard, this is the time to begin the implementation of the plan, and this is where you all come in. And I invite every one of us to continue to work together as we make this vision a true reality. Now I'd like to call upon some of the commission members who have worked on the different aspects of the plan to just very briefly introduce the 5 primary goals. We have economy, education, the environment, culture, recreation, and the arts, and a sharing community. Thank you.
I'm Myron Gookin, and I'm going to share with you this morning some thoughts on the economic component of our strategic plan. And I know it may sound somewhat cliche, but I think we are at an economic crossroads in Fairfield. Our national economy continues to struggle. Our state government struggles. This past week, Mayor Malloy and the Ways and Means Committee of your City Council was struggling with dealing with further budget cuts in Fairfield. It's not an easy time economically. And sometimes when we face times like that, you want to pull in your horns, you want to hunker down. But with no apology, the Strategic Planning Commission is not doing that in this plan. The economic component of this strategic plan calls for being proactive and for being visionary in the economic development of Fairfield. Among the many economic goals that are in the strategic plan, and I'm not going to go through all of them, but 3 of the main components that I'd like to share with you this morning to give you an idea of the flavor and the vision that comes from this plan. We are looking to create 1,000 new jobs in the city of Fairfield by the year 2012, paying competitive wages. We're looking at revitalizing our downtown area. Now, I remember as a child coming to downtown Fairfield, and it was a different downtown. And we're never probably going to have that same downtown as we had 20 or 30 years ago. But we are going to have a revitalized downtown. And one of the main components of that comes with a new Civic Center just a block away. And I've got the pulpit here today. And as long as I've got the pulpit, I'm going to encourage everyone that's here or who may be watching this on FPAC to get out May 15th and vote for 13th, I'm sorry, thank you for correcting me, May 13th, and vote for the new Civic Center. The Strategic Planning Commission and many other groups in this community believe that that's going to be the anchor for the revitalization of downtown Fairfield. Not a penny of property tax will be spent to create that Civic Center. Everyone should recognize that and should get out on May 13 and vote in favor of the new Fairfield Civic Center. A third item of economic development that I wanted to bring to your attention this morning is establishing a community-based $10 million venture capital fund by the year 2005 to help support new and developing businesses in the community. Now, those are three big goals, and those are only a few of the goals for economic development in the city of Fairfield in this strategic plan. But this commission believes that this community has the people that can make that plan a reality. Now, I'm not one to normally quote scripture at events like this, but Proverbs 29:18 says, "Where there is no vision, the people will perish." I think many wise people for a long, long time have recognized that you have to look to the future. You have to dream about the future. You have to plan for the future, or there will be no future. This plan is about dreaming and having a vision for the future for Fairfield. I appreciate everybody's efforts to make this a reality, and I am confident that in the years to come, as we work towards making it a reality, these goals will be accomplished. I'd now like to introduce Helen Jones to come back up and talk briefly about the environmental component of our strategic plan.
Thank you, Myron. As we talk about the future, we have to talk about the environment, of course, because it is the environment that sustains us. And our three primary aims in the area of environment are all to improve the community's physical assets, beauty, and natural environment. There are three primary aims in this goal. The first is to beautify the built and natural environment. Fairfield has been blessed with a wonderful group of parks, beautiful historic buildings, beautiful new buildings. One of our goals is to create community pride and promote beautification. We've had a great start in that already. We would like to implement consistent, charming, and historically respectful architectural standards, and we'd like to have some commercial sign standards so that we have that beauty that our community is worthy of. A second aim is to plan and build carefully designed public infrastructure improvements, the nitty-gritty, our sidewalks, our city streets. And our third main area in the environment goal is to encourage creative, responsible, and long-term stewardship of our natural resources. We'd like Fairfield to become a leader in promoting environmentally sound practices, in practicing what it preaches, and to serve as a model for other communities in this regard. We have a lot to do, but we have the people who are dedicated to doing it. With all of our help, I'm sure we will reach that goal. Thank you. Now I'd like to introduce Tom Brooks, who will speak about the third goal on advancing Fairfield's educational opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ellen. I think education is an area that impacts all of us in a community. And I wanted to just read a very short paragraph from the plan that outlines our vision of education and its impact on this community. Education and learning within a community signal growth and vitality. This goal reflects Fairfield's ongoing commitment to educate all residents and to provide opportunities for personal development and lifelong learning. Education will influence many components of the plan, from skill development within the workforce and cultural education within K through 12 schools to educational programs for senior residents. I think Iowa has always been known for excellence in education, and I think Fairfield already is very fortunate to have many, many excellent and outstanding educational institutions, both private and public. And I think the goal of all of these educational institutions is to work together and to commit to the three main aims of this third goal of the Fairfield Strategic Plan, and I'll just review those very briefly. The first aim is to maintain and promote excellence in our pre-K through 12 school systems. Some of the main points in this aim are to increase the involvement of parents in children's education, to attract and retain outstanding faculty and administration. Obviously, those are essential to any form of excellence in education. The second aim is to expand and promote local opportunities for education, for higher education for all its residents. And our goal here is also to coordinate a lot of the activities that are already going on so that we have a more comprehensive vision for higher education. And the third aim, as you can see, these are all just organized chronologically as you grow up from pre-K all the way through lifelong learning, is to provide more opportunities for lifelong learning. And this could be recreational courses, educational courses about gardening, also educational courses to enhance the skills needed in the workforce in our city. So these are the three main areas, and I think all of us involved in education really look forward to the next 10 years and really watching this whole plan unfold and to make this city really an outstanding city in terms of all of its educational endeavors. So thank you very much.
Good morning, my name is David Navarette, and I will give a brief summary of the fourth goal of the plan, which seeks to cultivate and promote Fairfield's cultural richness and recreational opportunities. This is in many ways the sweet spot of the plan, given that many of its objectives are already blooming around us. It is a goal that seeks to harness the incredible talent, creativity, and enthusiasm that different groups in town possess, and who through activities we already enrich our evenings and weekends. The fourth goal of the plan seeks to strengthen and support the activities already undertaken by many of our dynamic friends and neighbors, while providing the blueprint to organize bigger events that will enable Fairfield to develop a reputation as a regional source of enriching venues. In summary, the fourth goal seeks to enhance the opportunities to experience and participate in arts and culture in town, provide and lobby for quality facilities and resources for recreation, and schedule and promote diverse cultural, artistic, and recreational events on a regular basis, making Fairfield more attractive for residents and visitors alike. We've made it a point to build on the great success of homegrown events like the Power Wagon Rally and the First Friday Art Walks, as well as plan cultural and recreational events that can raise our regional profile even further, like the proposed annual Fairfield Arts Festival. All in all, we are eager to embark on this endeavor because the groups that have endorsed this plan have already set the foundation for many of the activities that Fairfield residents desire and which have been crystallized in this plan. As such, we look forward to seeing all of you in many of these exciting upcoming events. And now, to introduce the fifth and final goal, I'd like to introduce Connie Boyer.
Thank you, David. Goal 5, to strengthen Fairfield as a caring community. One of the key principles of this goal is that Fairfield cherishes the warmth and neighborliness shown and experienced within our community. We recognize we share a common humanity and we live together as neighbors. We have a common desire to live in a community that is where we can live a high quality of life, in a city where we love and we call home. Our activities in this goal include and range from mentoring programs of our youth to ensuring our seniors are properly cared for and have adequate, affordable housing, to reducing substance abuse, to providing a safe environment for our children who need foster care, to create interaction between our schools, business, civic organizations, government, and private citizens, to develop a community volunteer system to fill in the gaps where government cannot provide a solution and where we can all help the betterment of our community. The whole intent of the community strategic plan is to build teamwork, a spirit of cooperation, and build a better Fairfield. We now have a practical plan to move forward, and we need and we ask your time and energy to accomplish our goals. Let's all pledge our resources to make Fairfield an even better place to live, work, and play. Thank you.
Well, you've just been presented with what are some of the nuts and bolts of this plan. You really need to get your hands on the plan, though, to see how in-depth this is. This plan is only going to be as good as the organizations that have embraced it and now are going to act on it. So we now have a series of speakers to come to briefly speak to you. These are the endorsing organizations, 4 or 5 out of, as Ed said, 80. We will start with the Chamber of Commerce President, Devlin Wilson, and then one by one, you will hear a little bit about why each of these organizations and what they're going to be doing.
Good morning. On behalf of the Fairfield Area Chamber of Commerce, I want to thank again the individuals that committed their time in the Strategic Planning Commission, which committed their time to the city of Fairfield. The mayor, for his proactive role in taking a lead in leading Fairfield down a path in which the whole community is actually playing a significant role in coming up with ideas to make Fairfield a more stronger and vibrant community. For us as an organization, when we talk about the things and everything that's in that plan and what it encompasses is actually very exciting. We're proud to be asked to take a part, and we thank you for the responsibility that you've given us in setting our city's future in motion. I think one of the things that we have an opportunity to do as an organization is to develop and grow ourselves while accomplishing the objectives set forth in the plan. We've already learned that we can't just sit back and wait for tomorrow to happen, that we have to be proactive and come up with ideas, in order to be successful and plan our future. When you develop a long-range plan, and I was privileged to be a part of that, and most of you probably in an organization have had an opportunity to do that also, but when you work through issues and come up with ideas, there are things that that are just going to be a given, that are going to happen. But along with that plan, and Myron's already indicated, we did a little bit of dreaming, or actually a lot of dreaming in some cases. But I know with a strong commitment from the individuals, the different organizations, and the community itself, the fun part is going to be watching all those dreams become realities. Again, on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce, I want to thank you and congratulations, City of Fairfield.
Our next speaker, representing the Fairfield Economic Development Association, is President Dave Reef.
Thank you, Jay. Good morning. I'm also representing Fairfield Rotary as well as Fairfield Economic Development Association. I've been involved in both of those groups for the last several years, and I don't remember seeing a community-wide game plan that I can recall. And in light of this week's athletic developments, maybe we better go back to calling it a strategic plan. And that's a big word. What's a strategic plan? It's also been likened, as you've heard this morning, to a roadmap. We've heard it said that if you don't know where you're going, any word will get you there. Any road will get you there. But now we do know, and we can use this document to help get where we need to go. We at both organizations have accepted the progressive challenges that this plan sets forth, and will work to achieve them. And if anyone was downtown around this area last night at about 8 o'clock, we've got a running start. I don't know if I've ever seen more people, even in the old Friday night retail days. And thank you. You better have been on foot because there was no parking, so we'll work on that. So I'm going to finish by asking who can best predict the future of our town. I'll suggest that it's best done by those who are helping to invent it. Thank you.
Craig Pearson from MUM is our next speaker, and before Craig does get up here, this brochure that you see here would have been, even though there are numerous sponsors of this, the financial institutions and creative graphic people, without the MUM press, you would not see a quality piece like you have here, and as an entity, MUM deserves a hand of applause, and Craig Pearson.
Fairfield, for some years now, has already been regarded around Iowa as the bright spot in Iowa and as the entrepreneurial capital of Iowa. And it's inspiring to think now that we have this strategic plan to pull together all of the creativity and intelligence that we have in our community and build on what we have already, which is fantastic. On behalf of Maharishi University of Management, I congratulate Mayor Malloy and Ellen and Jay and all of the people who worked on this plan, and we pledge our complete support to do everything that we can to support the execution of the plan and enrich the quality of life in Fairfield, particularly through education and arts and culture and athletics. We're really proud to be part of this community, and we're really proud now to be a part of this plan and working together with everyone to enrich everyone's quality of life. Thank you very much.
Well, somebody always has to be last on the list, and today it's Burt Chojnowski. And when you speak vision, maybe that name is synonymous with Burt. And he is here on behalf of the Fairfield Entrepreneurs Association.
Thank you, Jay. I think if you've got a flavor for the group of people who worked on the strategic plan and extending into the organizations of the community, one of the great benefits of developing this plan has been to develop a unified community team. And I don't know that there's any group in the Fairfield that's not going to be touched or participate in this plan. And I think there's a great feeling of unity and incredible amount of teamwork that is, I think, unprecedented, not only for the city of Fairfield, but probably most cities anywhere, any place. So I think that's really one of the great benefits of this plan. Another one is it is also a celebration of the hard work and the community activism that a lot of people in Fairfield are already involved in. And it's really, in a lot of ways, the plan isn't so much inventing things, it's really sort of celebrating and putting on the same page and saying, here's how we are actually working together. I represent the Fairfield Entrepreneurs Association, and we give a hearty endorsement to this plan. As Craig said, Fairfield is known as the entrepreneurial capital of Iowa. There was a great quote in the newspaper when the new principal of Fairfield High described his desire to come to Fairfield because he ranked Fairfield as one of the top 10 entrepreneurial communities, if not in the country, in the world. Fairfield is now known as the place where they have more restaurants per capita than even San Francisco. I've heard that from the governor's office as much as 2 days ago, and this is something that is really wonderful for Fairfield because it's representative of what's going on in Fairfield. And in terms of culture and arts and the music scene here, it's really the best thing to happen to Fairfield, well, since the Harper Brush. There are three aims of and three goals of the strategic plan that I think are going to bode well for entrepreneurship in Fairfield. One being the Civic Center. Number two is the Venture Capital Fund. The Fairfield Entrepreneurs Association has heartily endorsed and is already active in terms of promoting and developing a venture community venture capital fund for Fairfield, Southeast Iowa, and even extending it to other parts of rural Iowa. And I'm happy to report that we are going to have this next Thursday the first Rural Iowa Investment Conference here in Fairfield, and we've got people coming from all over the state of Iowa, Southeast Iowa, Colorado, Minnesota, Indiana, who are interested in learning about the leadership that Fairfield is giving not only to the rest of Iowa, but rural communities around the country to revitalize their communities with
entrepreneurship and venture capital. And what's really great about this initiative, it's not dependent on any debate in Des Moines. It's not dependent on any votes in the legislature, and it's not dependent on any tax dollars. So we are very excited to be a part of that. The Fairfield Entrepreneurs Association has also been active and involved in helping to create the Fairfield Area Cultural Alliance, because we think the amenities of Fairfield are the most important thing to attract entrepreneurs and new business to Fairfield. And so with that, I would like to again say that on behalf of these organizations, the FEA and all the other organizations that are represented here, a very hearty endorsement to the Fairfield Strategic Plan. Thank you. This time we'd like to say thank you to the commission members and honor them for their participation in this event. We have a certificate for them, so if we could ask all of those that are out in the audience to come up here and wait in a line, and we'll get a certificate of award for you. First, again, I'd like to express my sincere thanks to our co-chairs of this commission who really owned this. They put a lot of their personal time and attention into not just the elements of the plan, but into keeping this group focused, coordinating with the Institute for Decision Making, and really doing so many things that, again, I can't say enough about this duo and what they accomplished in this. So again, we want to give them a thanks, both Ellen Ask-Jones and Jay Silverman. Each of our commission members offered something of themselves as something very, very unique. We'd be here a long time if I told you stories about what it was they offered, so I won't. So I'll ask each one of them to come up separately as their name is called, and please show them your appreciation. First is Connie Boyer. Burt Chojnowski. Tom Brooks. Councilman Myron Gookin. Judy Cox. Donna Steinberg. We'll announce that Tom Stanley was on the commission as well, former Councilman Tom Stanley, who was out of town. Reverend Marvin Robeck. John Kuster. Is John here today? I didn't see John. I don't think so. David Navarette. We'll announce Jefferson County Supervisor Mike Pesch, who is not here today as well. Is Gerald Swanson here? He's out of town. Sheila, would you like to accept for your husband, Sheila Swanson? Thank you. Okay. While Sheila's coming up, we'll also announce Steve Lamb, who was not able to be here today. Sheila Swanson, thank you. Thank you. Sheila, way to go. Is Jerry here? He's coaching. Jerry Long, who is coaching his baseball or softball team. I want to thank Jerry. Our new school superintendent, Steve Triplett. Nate Wheaton. Kent Whitney. Thanks a lot. Devlin Wilson. Lisa Greenig. Helen Guy. Again, thank you all commission members for your support. We'll be meeting again in a couple of weeks to talk about what we're going to do to continue this process and monitor it. And again, thank you very much.
Well, we've reached the end. I know I speak on behalf of Ed and Ellen and myself to thank everybody today that took their time out to come present. Certainly thanks to you all to come listen. But now the important stuff starts. If this is indeed a roadmap, then let's get the cars on it and let's get somewhere. You all belong to organizations, no doubt, that have endorsed projects within this plan. They're important, they need to be done, there's a time frame to them, and now we charge you to go out and to do those. We also thank, I know, Bill and James for coming down today from the University of Northern Iowa. As many of you might know, during our process, the state got into some funding problems, which were passed on to us. And what started out as a very inexpensive way to do a strategic plan, in fact, my original comment to Ed was, they do this for free. It was amazing the amount of help that came from you and I. We wouldn't be here today without the Institute of Decision Making. It wouldn't have gotten completed without the monetary support of FEDA, the Chamber, the financial institutions, and you can read the back of the brochure to see what went into this. It indeed is a community-wide strategic plan. Now let's go out and let's get it done. Thanks for coming, and we'll look forward to looking at the square in a few years. We'll look forward to looking around town and say, by gosh, we did it. Thank you.